Hey guys, and welcome to the very first Merit Partners podcast, episode 00001, because we're going to be doing a lot of these. We're here in the Merit Partners Lounge in Atlanta. Got Bert and Jonathan with me, my two best friends.
Hey, Evan.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
It's great.
Good.
But what do you say off camera?
A totally different story.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
All right.
So today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to discuss why we're doing this and also talk about some things we've been doing out in the field. So let's start with why, guys. Why are we spending our time? Why are we getting on camera? Why are we doing this?
I think for me, I think it's about familiarity. So how can you reach people? Because we're about building relationships. That's what we want to build. We want to build quality relationships over time, want our relationships to be better. And I think part of that comes from just familiarity. I mean, in person, we love to see our clients in person. That's not possible most of the time because they're across the country, they're very busy doing different things. So this is a way of connecting with them and allowing them to become more familiar with who we are, our personalities, kind of the way we give advice, the way we talk about cars. And we see it all the time. I mean, I started out Rennsport, people would come up to us and come up to Evan and say, God, I feel like I know you because I've watched your videos all this time. And so we love that sort of familiarity aspect of it. And staying connected. And this is how we reach a lot of people and do it on a frequent basis with frequency and consistency. And we appreciate that part of what we do. And I think it further builds the relationships that we have and lets people see us more frequently than they otherwise could.
Yeah, we'd love to visit everybody if we could.
Of the travel schedules, that's right.
Yeah, unfortunately, we all have kids, so that's a little difficult.
Exactly.
Little ones too. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think it speaks into the vision of the company, which is to really be a trusted advisor. And
Yeah,
we just finished out this space. You know, we got this couch. We're still waiting on some back cushions here. But we finished out this lounge, and we wanted this space to feel like our home and to feel comfortable when you're around it. And so I think this is a medium by which, through the podcast, that we can communicate, give great advice, you know, in a way that is authentic to who we are, and we want to provide great advice because we believe that if we put the relationship first, we put the advisory services first, and we build great experiences, that everything will flow from there in the business. All the business that we could ever want would come from that. And so I think that this is a format by which we can sit down and give knowledge, give away things for free that we may have, and also a window and an eye into what's going on here every day. You know, where have we been? What's our culture like? Culture is huge for us. We have Bert leads a culture meeting on Monday mornings. Right. We talk about the values of the company. And so I think that it's part of our culture here, but it's also an extension of other people that we may come across that are a part. It's not just about the cars, right? Always. It's about other things that interests and things that we have. And so this is a great format, a very relaxed format to be able to do that.
One thing I love about where we are right now, because we thought about shooting in one of the offices upstairs, and you know what's cool is you guys are going to get to see certain angles of Bert and Jonathan in the background. I mean, there's going to be people walking, there's going to be cars coming in and out. Ian's going to be working on some cars back there. It's just a really cool space for everybody to see this place working. The life of Merit Partners and what this looks like. So
that's right.
I'm actually really
the team component of
exactly.
it, right? I mean, it's much larger than any of us.
Exactly.
It's not about any one of us. Yeah, it's the whole team functioning together to make this happen.
Exactly.
And I'll go back to the relationship part that we try to do. What we do is not, I don't think, unique and different. We pursue relationships with clients just like we pursue relationships with one another. I don't pursue Evan because he's got, you know, a great house or a great car or a great golf swing. I pursue because
I do have that.
I pursue him because of who he is and just the relationship that we've developed, and that's what I enjoy so much. Sure, we get to enjoy some of those other things together, but really it's about the authenticity of the relationship and what we've been able to build over time. And I think the same thing applies to clients. Yeah. And that is we're not trying to build these relationships just because of the cars. Yeah. It's because of the connection we have with them and finding out more about their families, what's important to them, what their goals are. Because long after these cars have come and gone, it's not the cars that will remain, it's the relationships that will remain. And so I think, what our focus is and what's important to us.
Yeah.
You've got to have a why. What is it? You got to have a why in life, right?
Absolutely.
That's why I think it's important for us to come up with this. Why are we doing this? Well, it connects to our vision overall for the company, but also to us personally, to our own life, missions. And so there's the why. Have a why so that everything can flow from that, even into the how and the what.
Right. That's right.
And having that why is so important, because the next question is what? What are people, because it's the question I got when I announced we were doing a Merit Partners podcast, is what is it gonna be? What are you guys gonna do? What are you gonna talk about, right? So I think it's so important to have that why, because whatever the what is, whatever we decide to make this, and we've got some great ideas which we'll talk about in a minute, but it all is centered around the why.
Right.
And so let's talk about the what. What can the viewers and the listeners expect to see in the podcast? I know we've been kind of shooting a couple things that we can hint at, but what can they expect to see on this podcast?
Well, I don't think we're not really restrained by anything because we're not under any kind of corporate mandate. So I think sure, people will see car videos and great cars and us out in cars, but I also think what they're going to see is just what we enjoy in terms of experiences is not just cars. I mean, we've got some great chefs here. I mean, we've got some guys that really know how to barbecue and do that. Yeah. We have some great wine aficionados on the team. I wasn't going to name any names, but let's go ahead and insert ourselves into that. Yeah. But we got some great wine aficionados here. So we're going to talk about wine. We're going to talk about watches and things, because so many of these things overlap with the car side. I mean, you don't want to just be one-sided, and I think that's where the cars are great, but we're about building great relationships around these really cool experiences. That's what we're about. And so, the cars might be pulling, but you might pull into a great car into a wine event, or you might pull a great car into a watch event, or whatever it may be. And
it's actually what you're doing tonight.
Going to a watch event.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think people are going to see some things that are real and part of our lives, not only our, what do we do kind of outside of this, and what's the day-to-day look like here? And sometimes it's about us all gathering to share a meal together. Sometimes it's about going on a little trip together where we're getting to kind of experience, one another in a little different venue. Yeah. So I think that's the cool part of what we're doing here, that it's going to be some of what you expect, but some of what you don't expect.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I think the what is around the culture, bringing different things like you talked about, food, watches, wine, traveling, and we've already filmed a few that I'm very excited about. Yeah. And these are around friendships too, friends that we brought in to sit here on the couch with us. And
correct.
C.S. Lewis says a friendship is when you say, "Oh, I didn't know you were interested in that. I am too." I thought I was the only one. And so we're looking for those friendships and those bonds where connection points that we talk about. And around the cars specifically, we're going to be bringing in some experts in the field, right? Yeah. Whether it be how to take care of a certain car or just what to look for. So we're going to be bringing in, my hope is to bring in other experts in the field to put them on, to shine the light on them and to learn and to get great advice. And I find those things interesting. And it could be designers of cars, the history of the car, things like that. So. Look, we'll see what the viewers like and what's entertaining. And
exactly right. That's what I'm excited about, the conversations. I'm excited about sitting down with experts and with people outside of our field and bringing it all in and sitting down at the table and just having great discussions. And even myself, I hope to learn a lot from other people during these conversations. So
correct.
That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about just sitting down with you guys and talking. So
that's right.
Well, look. One of my favorite parts of this job and about this community is, we've got a great space here, but going out, meeting people, experiencing things, whether it's drives or, which we did recently, just spending time with people out and about. And we've done actually a couple things recently, all of us. So I want to bring that up.
It was a busy August.
It was a busy August and September, yeah. So I want to talk about the things we did, our experiences there. I want to start with you first because you did something that we haven't done yet, which is the Colorado Grand. And I'm so curious about that. We saw pictures, we saw the experience itself, but what was one of the things, just really high level, that stood out to you over the whole entire, we'll get into details,
Sure.
but what is the one thing that stood out to you high level of that experience?
That's an incredible question. I think that what stood out to me about the Colorado Grand was that they've been doing it for 35 years. And so the legacy
Wow.
of an event and the people that were in that room, you could tell that there are people that have been there for all 35 years. And I spoke to some of them too, and they had these relationships that they, as every year we're meeting here. And I mean, this transcends, generation too, right? Some would have brought their kids when they were, they were younger and kind of brought them along with them. And so the friendships that were in that room, which I think the cars are just an excuse a lot of times to build those type of friendships because it's a bond that we have. And so to see those, I was a newbie, right? So they brought in, this was a 50th anniversary to celebrate the Carrera RS 73, where they did an exception car. I'm sorry. So it's pre-1959, which I'm kind of known as like, I'm not really around the old cars. We don't have a lot of them around here. I get made fun of, for maybe not even knowing how to operate, an older car. It was, I think one thing that stood out was really cool to see the relationships that were there over the years. But then all these cars that were old, that were on the road, that were being used and enjoyed for almost 1,000 miles around Colorado and up into Wyoming, how well the cars worked, the variations between all the different cars. We had everything down to a $10,000 Alpha up to a 250 GTO.
Really?
So I mean, the spread of cars that were there, 100 cars that were there, was so wide and vast, and everybody had meals together. Everybody was drinking. We had coffee stops and things.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing things together, and it was just so well planned in its organization. But I would say the thing that stood out to me was the friendship, and then the vast array of cars. And being around vintage, older cars, classic cars that we're not normally around, and actually enjoying that.
Yeah.
Really enjoying
It's
that.
interesting because I thought, I don't know, just seeing the Colorado Grand from the outside, I thought every car was like 500 grand and above. There's a $10,000 Alpha there?
Yeah. There was I think the person that actually organized, my understanding, was the person that organized the routes. So when everything was so well organized, but there was a person that specifically knew every single road that we went on.
Yeah.
And they had mapped that out. I mean, 1,000 miles of roads that had been mapped out, and that was his job. He had gone through all those different, and they were great. They were great roads, open roads.
Yeah.
We fortunately had the state troopers with us, which I thought was amazing. That was an incredible touch. They have great relationships there with the Colorado State Troopers. They support them in a really incredible way. A lot of their donations went to the state troopers. They were with us during that whole week. They were a part of our group, and along the way in all the stops. So it was
And what car were you in?
I was in a 73 Carrera RS that belonged to a friend of ours,
Yep.
Julian,
Yep.
Viper Green. And there were, I think, 14 73 Carrera RSs. So we all bonded together too and did one group photo of the special exception car. So every couple of years they do a special exception car, and they're bringing in some new blood, into the group, which was cool to be a part of that. And I had a handful of guys that I knew that were going to be there going into it as well, that were also in 73 Carrera RSs. So we were in rocket ships. I mean, our cars were, so fast. We were cheating, compared to everybody else. But it wasn't about how fast your car went or where you're going. It was about the journey.
Yeah.
It was about the journey and enjoying that with your pilot, your co-pilot, and
Do
getting
you know
to
about how
different
many miles
destinations.
total?
About 1,000 miles.
1,000
We were
miles.
doing 300 miles a day, so it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was a lot of driving.
That's my question, because there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, I want to hop into this. I want to do a 3-day event, something like that. What was one thing that stood out to you, maybe not on the glamorous side? You're around all these amazing cars and the people are fantastic, but what's one thing just to prepare people for a 3-day event like that, 1,000-mile event like that maybe they need to think about before they join an event like that?
Your mind and your interaction, engagement with the car, it takes a toll on you over 300 miles. Now, I don't feel like it did on me because I was in what was considered a modern car for that event.
Yeah.
So actually, I can't answer that question as well as somebody who was driving a D-type, an open,
Open
open top
cockpit,
with
yeah.
goggles,
Yeah,
and
sure.
there were real men there.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
a boy.
yeah.
There were real men that were driving serious cars that
Can't even imagine.
old Bentleys, I mean, in the rain,
Yeah.
Bentley blowers, and you know, they were making fun of us. I knew because we weren't driving cars that were challenging in the least. I mean, we had, you know, we were driving in comfort compared to them. So I can't really answer that question other than say after 300 miles, you know. I mean, I went to the gym after getting back, you know, to the drive, and so.
And the guys in the open D types probably
I'm
weren't.
not quite sure.
That seems right up Bert's alley. An open
yeah.
wheel deep type.
Yeah, I'm
open
always
cockpit
at
D type.
periscope depth, just, you know,
Yeah.
head's always above everything. So I'm sure I would have not really enjoyed the D-type experience.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to watch, though. I think that was what was so much fun is to be inside the car and to watch all these other cars, and you get the visage, the view of them as they pass you or you pass them.
Right.
And that was awesome.
Yeah, one of the greatest videos you had was you were passing, it was a Ferrari. It's a 250.
I think it was the TDF, the long wheelbase Competizione TDF.
That was just such a cool video, and the views of that car as you're passing it were just stunning, absolutely stunning. So after that, we had the privilege to go to Rennsport, which was, in my opinion, one of the best events I've been to.
Oh, yeah.
Period. I think they did a great job of putting that on. All the people there just, I mean, obviously it's specific to Porsche, right? It's just a Porsche event. So unlike Car Week, which we'll get into in a minute, where you see everything, you just saw the best of the best when it came to the Porsche world. So
That's right.
what's one thing of that event? I've got my own thoughts, but what are some things that stood out to you at that event?
I think that one of the biggest things to me is you because everything is focused around Laguna Seca, so it's all there in one spot. You don't have to go to this corral or that corral to see all these great cars. You don't miss anything. You don't feel like you miss anything. And I like the fact that I knew I was going there, and what did we see? 9, 10, 959s there. I mean, all of different colors, and I mean, we had different. You know, Canapa does some bills on those, which were really fascinating and to look at. So you get to see all the cars in one place. So I enjoyed that a lot, to know that I wasn't missing anything, because I think that's the struggle when you go to Car Week is you can't be everywhere, and somebody says, "Did you go to so and so and see that?"
You always feel like you're not in the right place.
Oh yeah. You always feel like you're just missing the mark. So we did that, and then but what was great is you get to meet at the central point, but we were doing drives in the morning. So you go and do these drives in the morning with a collection of maybe anywhere between 4 and 8 cars, and you go drive around this incredible landscape. You know, you're getting the coastal experience, you're getting the rolling, you know, hills experience, you know, the inland stuff. So you're getting all that, and then you get to go back to a central meeting point and see all these cars in one spot. So I love that.
Going to the drives real quick, it was cool. I know you went to Car Week, so you did the same thing. And Highway 1 is amazing, right? Highway 1 is picturesque, gorgeous. But we did a drive the second day, and it was just us and a 914. And those roads, to me, blew me away. I mean, they were almost mountain switchbacks. Like, it was not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't even have lines on them. They just
a
strip of asphalt out there.
Yes.
It didn't even look like a road. You just said it almost was like a dirt road that just been paved over. And so there were animals all over the place. There were trees. There was just, I mean, you were going over spots where you have the all the grates for the cows and things where so it was fascinating. You felt like you were in, Tuscany or something. It was
exactly.
Just,
it didn't
had
feel like
that,
America.
that feel to it. It was an escape, which that's what you want. You want to experience that escape, that transcendent escape, and that's really what that was about. So I love that. I love that. And then, but it was relaxing too. There wasn't quite the amount of traffic and congestion that you see from Car Week, and so there's a little bit more freedom to move around.
Yeah, one of my favorite things from that event was just. You get all of the top guys in the Porsche world in one spot, and we were at the 000 tent, hanging out with the 000 team, and this guy walks up, and the most unassuming guy with a German accent walks up, and he just kind of gets into our circle, and he starts talking. And next thing you know, after 10 minutes of conversation, we learned that this guy helped develop the 911R and the Speedster. And so as time goes on, we kind of pull away with just him, and we start listening to the story of how he and his team developed the 911R and the Speedster. And it was just one of the coolest stories, because what they do is they will go in, didn't they use the 901.1 for a Speedster?
Right.
And they'll pull a car and they'll be like, oh, let's cut the top off. So they decided to cut the top off a 991.1 C4S.
Right. Right.
And they developed the car. And
Right.
it was so cool to see that, and then how the higher ups interact with them on these cars, because they're risky cars, right? To develop these and push these out in the market. So that, to me, just to see behind the curtain of Porsche, because you see all these cars, we see all these cars here, but the development story behind them was fascinating.
Well, it's all the stories. I mean, they're doing crazy stuff, pulling stuff off the line. They're working with higher displacement engines sometimes. They're experimenting all kind of concepts, and then they go to these locations and drive them on all these back roads they're doing all these things, and have all the experiences go along with that, with their interactions with the local, the authorities, all kind of stuff. So it's all kind of things going on with that. But he was a very colorful guy to meet with and hear and just, I mean, it's almost as if they get to experiment with some things with somewhat a bit less limitations, so they can go out and try different concepts and put it in. I'm gonna stick a Carrera GT in a 911 and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that you hear about, that you never see, but you hear about that experience of what it's like.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to meet Grant Lawson, who designed the Carrera GT, at a PCA event at Amelia a couple years ago, and same thing, just sat on the hill, talked to him, shared stories about how he sketched the Carrera GT out and how it started out as a Boxster and expanded, and the different elements from the 550 Spider and things that he would bring in to incorporate the design, and how they would go about that, the team that was there at the time, how many years it took, you know, start to finish. So it is really cool to meet your heroes, of the guys that have actually gone over there, worked on the cars, and then present the final product, and you're like, I mean, it's true, the true, like Michelangelo, or the true artist.
Absolutely.
You know, that comes out, and then we get the opportunity, enjoyment to drive these cars and see them every day around here.
Yeah.
Stuff that's already been made. I mean, I'm really excited about all the cars that are already here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we have, a TDF prototype right now here, and it's you take for granted sometimes when you see a fully developed, like the 812C behind you see that car, and you don't really appreciate all the stuff that goes into it to develop that car.
That's right.
So to hear the stories is just, it's fascinating.
That's right.
The other thing was seeing all the 917s and stuff on track was just.
Oh yeah, that was a highlight. I've never been that close to seeing a 917 come around turn one at Laguna Seca.
And they were driving. They weren't.
They
were parade laps.
They were pushing.
They were racing. It was cool.
You see all the pictures in the video, but when you see it in person and watch that, along with all the other historically significant cars in these races, I mean, one, you're talking about brave guys that are in those cars driving around at those speeds with the lack of kind of safety gear that we just are so assuming of in the new cars. They didn't have all that in these old cars, and so they were scary. Not only to drive, but also to know that if you had an accident in that, who knows what could happen. Yeah. And so, but it was awesome seeing those the pageantry and to see those cars at speed, not on touring laps, but actually at speed.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes me want to talk with Car Week about you. Me and Bert didn't have the opportunity to go to Car Week this year. You did. Took F50 and F40, right? And the roof. Which honestly was probably the biggest hit out there.
Oh, they were all great.
What was a highlight for you of Car Week? I've been with you twice now. Like I said, didn't get to go this past year, and I feel like every year is a totally different experience from the 2 years I've been. So curious your thoughts of this year and how it went, especially with you having the roof out there.
Top highlights of Car Week for me, it was the biggest, I think, show out that they've seen in many, many years, because you think about all the things that have to be planned to get there, and all the people who have to make travel arrangements and all of that. So I mean, there were so many people there this year, more than I've ever seen there. There was a lot, as Bert referenced. I mean, there's feel like there's always something going on, and the highlight for me personally though was being with my friend Matt in the F50. We showed the car at the Quail, and so after having a great day at the Quail, which is obviously one of the best events, pulling out of there, and we just decided, hey, why don't we go for a drive? Because that's what we love to do. You see the cars there on the lawn, which is awesome, but we wanted to go for a ride, and so we took a right out of the Quail, and we headed out towards Laguna Seca, and just to go over the ridge there, and open top, just hearing that car, and we did that, and then we went and got some food at I think went to Bernardus Lodge, and so we went and ate some fish together and hung out, and then came back to the house. I mean, that's the highlight, for me, is being with somebody that your friend that you care about, and going out together was just awesome. And we did some drives where we would meet and we'd go down to Big Sur. So we did that 2 mornings in a row, the group of 10 to 15 people, and so just driving the cars was awesome. But seeing, it gives you an opportunity to see really what's from our side, to see what's going on in the car market, right? Because all the auction houses are there. So went to all the different auction houses, and you could see there was a different feel in each one of the rooms and what was going on. And in terms of results, it gives us an indicator of what the market was doing, and it's exactly as we thought, right? I mean, people are moving into the 90s and 2000s cars, looking for really quality. I mean, the cars that were really quality, had good histories, where you could actually explain the pedigree of the car. Those cars did really well, but the cars that had a lackluster or question mark or things, really didn't do well. And then the cars that were 15, 20, $30 million cars, there were some cars that, didn't receive bids on them. So it gives us an opportunity and indication in the market to see what's going on in the collector car market, which it's strong, or it's doing well, right? It's not, a lot of people are, if the market's doing poorly, what's going on. But we saw that the market responded well to the quality cars that were there, and there's more to that. But those
auctions are very important because they almost set a precedent for the rest of the year. There was even talk at Rennsport with a lot of folks we talked to of just the generation, a certain generation of Porsche that everybody was calling peak Porsche, right? That was for the next 3 years to come.
And what
These
was
are
that?
The ones
They said the model. What was the model?
997.
There you go. Thank you.
997s. Yeah, that was the talk around all of Rennsport.
It's the modern day 73 RS 2.7.
100%.
That's the modern day car.
Yeah.
People are gonna look back in the next 20 years and they're gonna see that model and they're gonna say, that was the one. That was one. Sure, I remember when those cars were $100,000. Now they're $1.5 million. I mean, that's kind of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Over the next little bit.
It's funny how we always have that conversation with people of, CGTs. Man, I should have bought them when they were $500,000. Well, yeah, you have an opportunity with that and cars right now. You just have to know what to get into. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we'll talk a lot about that on subsequent episodes.
Oh, and another thing to mention too about Pebble Beach that was really enjoyable was just walking around and not only seeing different clients, because it's one place we get to all come together and you get to see clients like you guys did and friends, but also industry people that we saw. I mean, I saw at least a dozen people from different dealerships that we work with, and we believe to collaborate for success, to work with different dealerships that we're friendly with and enjoy that, right? Because it's a big market, and so we get to enjoy that and do things. We send cars to different dealerships and help other guys sell stuff, and that's a lot of fun to get to see people face to face, have different dinners, and to enjoy that, and it also ask them what they're seeing in the market. So it's a great opportunity to meet with people that are also in the industry and enjoy that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Was there anything at Quail that was like the car? Because I remember a couple years ago, there's a Gullwing there that everybody's talking about, and just, there's always the crazy releases, but was there anything there that everybody was talking about?
That's a great question.
It was a Bugatti last year that everybody was talking about.
I mean, the Gordon Murray stuff was really cool.
Yeah, I love the Gordon Murray stuff. That concept of a light car,
right.
V12.
Race car, and he's got all the history from the F1.
Center seat.
Center seat. I mean, they had a really impressive, exhibit there.
Yeah.
So I'd say.
Was he there?
He was.
Yeah. Did you catch him?
Not really. Just said, waved.
I think he would be like the one person at that event that I'd ask for a picture.
Really?
Geek out over.
I love
him, man. He's just the F1 was the car for me growing up. So to have a picture with him that'd be it for me.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome guys. Thank you so much. This is number 1 in the books.
That's right.
00001 in the books.
That's right. This
Excited
will
to
be
kick
a
it off.
collector podcast. So go ahead and
Yeah.
put it in your library. It's certainly going to appreciate and value.
We
over
should
the
turn it
years.
into an NFT because those have
Oh,
done
gosh.
really, really well.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. I think there's a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and for watching. We are really excited to do this. We're excited for you guys to come along with us in this. A lot more episodes to come. Please let us know. If you guys have any questions, is there anything you specifically want to see, please let us know. And thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
Here we go. One of the books. 000001.